Welcome to another episode of Morning Mojo with me, your host, Shane Solomon. Today, I'm delighted to have on the sofa Chris Robinson-Brown, no stranger to my wonderful network. How are you, sir?
I'm really good, thank you, Shane. Yeah, very good.
Fantastic. Well, of course, this podcast is all set to motivate and inspire people. And I want to talk really about your career from hospitality into a global company, because that's what you've done. And people will be listening to this thinking, I want to go global and things like that. But just tell us a bit about the story and the mindset.
Yeah, so I literally started when I was 14, which I shouldn't have even been working at that point, but serving tables in cafes, really got the hospitality bug. So then from there, went on to work in bars when I was old enough. Ultimately then had a couple of venues of my own back up in Manchester, where I moved from before here. And then as I moved down to Cornwall, we actually set up a coffee business supplying the chain. So basically just bit by bit worked my way up the chain.
And of course, your coffee machine here at the studios is so famous. People love it here. So We've had one of your machines here for quite a while. And the coffee and everything, all the drinks that come out of it is absolutely superb. But let's talk about why the move to Cornwall and how it helped launch your business. Because a lot of people look at Cornwall as a kind of end of the earth kind of place and think nothing really happens in Cornwall. Yeah. Far furthest from the truth, in my opinion. But just tell us about that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Basically, we moved down from Manchester, myself and my husband. And when we moved down, you're a very small part of a very big machine in a big city. So you can make moves, you can make changes, but you have very, very little impact in a big city. There's always the big boys to play up against. When we actually moved down to Cornwall, I then took everything I'd learned in the industry and actually set up a coffee business down here initially, then went on to open the spirits business. And what Cornwall did is actually gives you a manageable territory to start with. You can literally visit, you can hop in a car and in a day, you can go to any one of the four corners of Cornwall, you can meet your customers direct and you can build up personal relationships. And from there, it's down to the quality of the product and also the backing of the Cornish market, people like yourself as well, who've supported me in both the businesses all the way along. And yeah, I think it's a springboard to the rest of the country rather than a niche corner that you get trapped in. I think it's inspirational. And obviously with the new project, it's incredibly inspirational because we've got the most coastline of any county in the world. So obviously what I wanted to do was protect that coastline, which led on to the new business.
In fact, we're going to talk a lot about that in just a moment, but I want to find out really what is the kind of key part of your mindset that's made you this successful so far? I know you've probably got bigger goals and all the rest of it, but what's the kind of key thing for you?
I'd say it's a drive to bring something different, a little bit different. So when we set up the coffee company, we didn't just become churning out coffee machines and faceless. We actually helped small companies create coffee brands for themselves. Obviously, you've got the machine here that's all Cornwall Channel branded and your partnerships, cups and everything like that. So it's about giving people that chance to stand out on their own 2 feet and letting us support them. And that was the drive with that. And also then the drive with the spirits business as well, which obviously we launched here with you on the Cornwall channel. We did a live launch back 4 years ago, that was now, incredibly. And again, with that spirits business, we work a lot with people and actually create brands for them. So we now make a Boscastle gin, we make a Polperro gin. So it's about giving other people that empowerment. And I love being that support network behind that.
And you're so good at it, I must admit. Now, the mission to reduce plastic, and why is it so important? This is a huge subject right now, Absolutely. All over the world, not just here in Cornwall. Why, in your humble opinion, is it so important to reduce this plastic?
I mean, there's some terrifying facts. As I got into this business and learnt more about it, there's some horrific facts. So obviously by 2030, there'll actually be more single-use plastics floating around in our ocean than there is fish, living fish in our oceans. It's insane. And even down to coffee cups themselves. So the plastic lids that everybody chucks on their coffee cups, chucks out of the car windows, puts in the wrong bins. Every year, just the lids used in the UK alone would stretch around the world 7.6 times. If you then multiply that around the world, we can actually cover the entire surface area of the world 5 times a year just in plastic lids. And that doesn't take into account the cups, which most people don't know have a plastic lining in. People just see them as cardboard, they're billed as recyclable, and it's not the case. They have plastic linings in, and to be recycled, they have to go off to specialist recycling centres. And the sad truth is only 2% of them are actually then recycled anyway. They all just go to landfill. And your average coffee cup that most people will probably use 2 or 3 of them in a day, they take about 200 years to fully compost even when they're in landfill. Lord. So yeah, something had to be done. And I was very, very aware that throughout my career, the amount of coffees and hot drinks and cold drinks I've served in single-use cups, and it suddenly really rang home because here I am in Cornwall, surrounded by glorious coastline, beautiful beaches, and yet community groups have to get together just to be able to stay on top of the single-use plastics that are washing up on our beautiful beaches. And I just thought, there is something I can do here, and what better place to do it from than Cornwall, because we suffer the most.
Absolutely true. Now, of course, people do drink coffee in its bucket load. It's a huge industry.
Absolutely, yeah.
We see it every single day, people drinking from these cups, and we talk about these plastic lids. But you have a product. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, great, because you'll be able to see what we've got here. But if you're listening to us on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, then you might want to explain a little bit here, Chris.
Yes.
But just talk us through the solution to the problem that we have in front of us, because this is great.
Absolutely. So this is the Good Cup. So for those who are just listening, not seeing, so the Good Cup is a plastic lining free, fully recyclable, fully compostable cup. So this will disappear without a trace within 90 days. Even if it gets thrown out of a car window into a lay-by, it'll be gone without a trace in 90 days, with no negative impact on the environment. The key thing with the cup, for those that are looking, is it's actually got a unique integrated folding lid. So this was created by a design genius called Cyril Drouillet, a Frenchman, who created this and then actually created the Good Cup as a brand worldwide. And I've been very, very fortunate to be in a position where I look after now the UK. We're looking at Spain and Portugal, and we also look after Eastern Europe as well from the UK. But this basically, this folding lid locks in place, creates a fully spill-proof drink completely. So you can tip it up, and the only place the drink will come out of is where it's meant to come out of. But as I say, this is the answer. Basically, it removes the lids completely, and the cup itself has zero plastic lining in as well.
I love it. It's such a simple idea, but I think simple ideas are thought up by geniuses.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we've all had that thing where you're having a coffee and you've got the plastic lid and you're drinking like that. The darn thing's not on properly.
Yeah, pops.
And it pops off. You got a big meeting coming out, and now you've got coffee all over you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolute nightmare. Now, of course, people can brand these as well. So if they've got coffee shops, if they've got outlets that are serving coffee or hot drinks, come to that.
100%. And this goes back to what I was saying before. It's again about giving people the ownership. I'm not trying to create my brand. My company is No More Lids, and we're on these initial cups. But what I'm trying to do is give ownership to those people. So people like Kennett Cove Beach Cafe, I mean, they were straight on board, like snapped my hand off because she was so desperate, because she suffers so badly. Where her cafe is, literally every morning there's single-use plastics washed up just outside the cafe on the beach. Sure. So she was all over it. She fully understood. And there's been so many Cornish brands and Devon brands that have just got it straight away, because, as I say, we do suffer the most. So, and then it's got rolled on from there, really. And we've pre-sold several containers worth of cups already before they've even landed. And we're talking to some really big national brands at the moment as well, because everybody sees this is a solution.
Indeed it is, and some really big household names. So who in business inspires you daily, Chris? Have you got any kind of people that you look up to?
So there's two people, really. I mean, one on a national level that everybody will know is Deborah Meaden, for the simple reason, everything she does, she is focused on making money, but there is an overlying element of sustainability. She, even if a business was a super business, she wouldn't back it if it was doing damage to the environment. And I really, really admire that the money isn't the sole driver there. It's about that sustainability and being green. And then on a smaller level, somebody that nobody will ever know is a lady called Shirley Wu. And she's actually to do with the Choose Planet A, who created the cup. So she basically finds people like me all around Europe. That's her job, is to find other Chris's to take on the cup in different territories. But we've been through a lot with the cup. We've got the Red Sea crisis at the minute. So every morning I have to check whether my ship's actually been blown up or whether it's still on the water. I mean, it's a scary time. We've had lots of teething issues and things like that. And on a daily basis, she inspires me to carry on, and we work really, really well together. So yeah, it's nice to have a sort of a figurehead and also somebody on a local level to talk to.
So you've never met Deborah Meaden?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
No. I mean, if somebody tags this in and she happens to get in touch, that would be marvelous.
Anything is possible. Of course, Deborah Meaden and her family had holiday parks down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back in the day, and I do have a connection to her family.
Okay.
So it's one of those ones that I think when this podcast is actually live, I will make sure that they put it in her direction.
And again, she is inspiring to me because she, on a different level, but she started in hospitality, worked her way up. Like, she worked for her parents' holiday parks when she was a child and worked her way up. And now she's actually making difference for sustainability. And I'm hoping that I can at least follow somewhere in her shadow.
Indeed. Well, that's not a bad person to follow, that's for sure. I was very fortunate to meet Theo Pathetis in the original lineup of Dragons, and we went to his office in Wimbledon actually to film an interview with him, which is available on YouTube. Just search for Cornwall Channel Theo Pathetis and you'll see that. Favorite quote? Do you have, like, there's so many quotes we see in our daily lives. Is there any that stand out to you that kind of think, yeah, I like that?
I'm a big believer in you don't get unless you try, in essence. So whether it is a business challenge or whether it's a challenge in your personal life, you need to meet that challenge and work out how to deal with that challenge. Don't just avoid it, because challenges don't go away. They just normally get bigger. So facing it head on and finding a way through, I think, is a very, very important thing.
I like that. Now, what would you say to people listening to this and they're starting off on their entrepreneurial journey? They're starting a business. They need to be motivated. They need that success. What kind of one thing can they do today, listening to this or watching it back, that can set them on their path? Now, that could be anything from networking. It could be surrounding themselves with like-minded people. You know, what would you say to them today they can do?
I'd say the most important thing is to have faith in yourself. Some people have great ideas, some people have not so great ideas, but as long as you've got faith in yourself that you can deliver that idea, I think that's the fundamental root of everything. If you're sort of shaking a bit and not sure about the product or not sure about the project you're working on, that will come across to people that you're working with and people that you're trying to sell to. You need to have faith in yourself and know that your own ability, you can make this happen. And it's surprising what a positive impact that has on everything you do in a day-to-day basis.
I do agree. But sometimes things don't work out. So
Absolutely.
What happens, when you hit those roadblocks, and people are going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are insurmountable roadblocks in a project that may completely change the trajectory of a project or even stop a project. But you've got to that point for a reason. You've had the drive, you've had the ambition to get to that point. And if there is a roadblock, you either work out a way around it, or you accept, okay, this went so far, but how can I adapt? How can I change? How can I drive forward? And I think it's about that self-worth and self-experience really that gets you through.
Okay, great advice. So what about when you're not working? What kind of things do you do to make sure that your mind is sharp, you're relaxed, and that you're able to go back into work on the next day feeling supercharged?
Well, first of all, I would say to people that is an absolute crucial thing to do, and I don't always do it. I'm quite guilty of it. That work-life balance, it's very difficult, especially when you're launching something new. And obviously with our gin business, when we're not in the office or bottling or labeling, we're out in fields selling the gin and things like that. So it's very hard to get a work-life balance. But my dogs keep me very grounded. Yeah, there's nothing better than being released and going for a run with the dogs in the field. And yeah, it is like that. They just open the van doors and I go running out with the dogs as well, just to exert some energy. I enjoy spending time at home. I'm a big fan of cooking as well. So I like to switch off. And again, even cooking is something, I go into the kitchen and I get to create something and there's a finished product. So that fits with my mindset. So it helps me sort of settle my mind a little bit.
What's the signature dish for Chris Robinson Brown in the kitchen?
Oh, a nice traditional, good, solid lasagna. Absolutely. Ooh. Absolutely.
See, I'm yet to make one of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
I've never done one. But I've only now started getting into cooking, to be fair. And normally, within the last couple of years, I could only boil an egg. That was about it. I was really, really basic. But because of my wonderful work that I get to do and meet all these wonderful chefs and things like that, inspire.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thinking, I'll just start simple. And I was very lucky to be treated to Rupert down at Philly Way Cookery School's thing through Laura White at Wyfield Accountants. And she took me out. Instead of taking me out for dinner in a restaurant, she said, "You're going to cook the dinner."
Amazing.
And it was great, and I made this lovely beef pork ragu and made my own pasta, and it's a nice thing to do. I do get,
and cooking does sort of mirror that. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got some ingredients, some things are going to work with each other, some things aren't. So you learn from your experience and you build from it, and next time you make that recipe, you do it a little bit differently. And it's kind of a metaphor for life, really, that you can create a finished product, but there's lots of different ways you can get there.
Indeed. In fact, only last night I was cooking dinner, something simple, bangers and mash, right?
Good.
But I'm doing it, and normally with my kind of gravy, I put a bit of red wine in it, and I'm doing it. I'm thinking, I've got no red wine, but I did have some tribute from St. Austell Brewery, so I put a little bit of tribute in there, and we had like a tribute bangers and mash. It was absolutely lovely.
Game changer for you is dark rum.
Dark rum?
Dark rum gravy.
Is that right?
Yeah, good. Try it.
A lot of time for that. So, look, you got great success with this so far. Where next then? I mean, I said in the opening thing, a global company, but I mean, where's the goal right now that you're working on?
I mean, the goal is the cups, very much so. So I've been very lucky enough that I've now got a team that run the coffee business, and that's all local people as well. So that's great. We started with just me running around, and now we've got a team of people that run that. Exactly the same with the gin. We've now got a team, all based down here in Cornwall, who actually run and operate that company. So I can now focus on this. And to be honest, this is an ongoing project. There will always be somebody who's still using the plastic cups and lids or is uneducated to the fact that cups have a plastic lining in, which not a lot of people know. They just sit as the cardboard. So I think this is the goal, is to drive this forward. And I'd love to get to the point where it becomes the majority used cup here in the UK. And what we've done, we've made it very, very easy to get hold of. So we've worked with a wonderful network of people. So down here, we've got Cornico Coffee and Swift Packaging, who've been plastic free in their packaging for about 5 years now. So they were a logical fit. And we've basically built a network up across the country of people like that who have the same mindset, and they're all going to then supply into their local area so we can get the cup out there. And the key is the cup comes in at a comparable cost to the current plastic cup and lid. And that's the biggest thing. In this country, there's a sustainability tax. If you want to do the right thing, it normally costs you more, and it makes it cost prohibitive for smaller businesses in particular. We've brought this cup out to be an alternative. You can make the switch without it's a no-brainer. Basically, it's a sensible thing to do. It's a sustainable thing to do without the penalty of paying more.
You make it sound so simple, Chris, and it should be a no-brainer. It really should be.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if people have not already made the switch to these wonderful cups, then there's a best way to do that through the website. I'm assuming is the great way to get in touch.
Yeah, contact myself through nomorelids.com. There's a lovely little form on there. Just tell us a bit about yourself, and then either I'll contact you direct, or I'll put you directly in touch with one of our local networks based on where you are. Yeah, and they'll be able to sort you out straight away. And the first cups are literally 12 days away. They're on the water as we speak. So yeah, it's a very exciting month ahead.
Well, I'm looking forward to replacing what we've got here. The cups have been very successful here. People love them. They love all the branding. Yeah. And through your partnerships, we've got the sponsors on them, which helps to pay for the cups and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be great to be kind of pioneering these new cups.
And they are in the first container. The first box off will be the Your Partnerships cups.
Wow. Absolutely. What a pleasure. What a pleasure. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you in the studio, Chris. And I'm very, very grateful for all the support that you give myself, the Cornwall channel, and any other project I think of. You're always right there supporting us. So it's been a delight to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Morning Mojo. And just to kind of wrap up then for the listeners and for the viewers on YouTube and things like that, parting words for ultimate success from Chris Robinson Brown.
I would say believe in yourself and make sure you've got a great network of support around you. People like yourself.
What a way to wrap up the show.
Absolutely.
Chris, thank you so, so much. Well, there you go. There is another episode of Morning Mojo. My guest today, Chris Robinson Brown. What a great product. What a great inspirational story that coming to Cornwall can achieve global success. Go on, what are you going to say?
No, I'm just going to hold it up. Well, when are you talking about my great product?
There you go. Bit of product placement.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure we cut to your camera. There we go.
Yes.
There we
fabulous.
go. We'll cut to his camera. There it is. You have to make sure you watch on YouTube now to see that.
Yes.
But anyway, as always, my thanks to Megan and to Josh today, actually switching the podcast. Thank you very much for all your support. Until next time, share it, like it, love it, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.